So, as I said in my introductory video, I was a child in the 1990s. And in the 1990s, the ideal body type was that heroin chic. So, if you think about Kate Moss, I mean, that is immediately something that comes to mind. And I remember as a child, my father would watch runway shows all the time. And so I would sit beside him because I wanted to spend time with him, of course. Why not? I loved my father as a child. And so I would see these tall, waifish, very skinny women being prized, being revered as beautiful. And so in my mind, I thought that, okay, this is what is beautiful and this is what I should aspire to be. Now, if we juxtapose that to that 1950s upbringing that I was telling you about, or at least my parents trying to give me that 1950s upbringing, the ideal in the 1950s was not waifish at all. In fact, it was that Marilyn Monroe type woman. So big breasts, smaller waist, bigger behind, that hourglass figure is what was prized. And so I remember, even as a very young child, being very conflicted with what is beautiful and what I should be aspiring towards. Now, I should also say that in my family, beauty was prized. And I think that's, there's many reasons for that. I mean, for one, I was a girl. And so being a girl and being exposed to all types of 1950s film, song, culture, everything, made me see the world in that 1950s light. So for me, a woman's value came from her beauty. And women should aspire towards being pleasing to the eye, being pleasing to their husband. They should aspire to getting married one day. I mean, my own mother was a stay-at-home mother, and she was so proud that she was able to stay at home and she didn't have to work. And that is wonderful to be a stay-at-home mother, and that is definitely a choice. But for me as a child, it was presented as the choice when I grow up. So yes, excel in school, do very well, because that's important. But at the end of the day, you're going to settle down and you're going to have children. And when you do have children, it's best that you don't go out into the world to work because you need to be there for your children. And I mean, that is an idea, but it was very much ingrained in my mind as my life goal, essentially. And so in considering that, and given that was kind of the life goal for me, is to grow up, have children, and to raise them, and because I was exposed to all of this 1950s media, in my mind, how else can I keep a husband than to be beautiful? So I was conflicted. I was conflicted between, now, should I strive to look like Marilyn Monroe, or should I go more towards Kate Moss? And so it was, I remember even at age 5, I decided to stop eating ice cream because I thought that would help me, I don't know, get a smaller waist or something like that. I also remember that I stopped eating chicken legs for a while because I was convinced that if I stop eating chicken legs, then my legs will end up having that shape that was so revered in many of the 1950s movies that I was seeing. So I definitely had body image issues from a very young age. Unfortunately, these issues did not get any better by the time I turned a teenager. In fact, in the 2000s, the ideal body was to be thin. So that we maintained the thinness, but it was also that perfect look. So that finished look, that flawless look. And there was also an emphasis, at least where I was growing up, on big breasts and the importance of being thin, but also having big breasts. And most women who are thin do not have big breasts. I can speak for myself. That is not the case for me. And that was a huge struggle for me. For me, it was always, I always felt less of a woman as a result, and was always conflicted by the way I looked, and even when it came to my own sexuality as I grew up and became an adult and started having different types of sexual encounters with men, I felt very self-conscious. It didn't help that I would also date, I think, many insecure men. I remember once this young man who ended up being madly in love with me once told me that my breasts were actually almost a deal breaker for him. And unfortunately, because of the upbringing that I had, not just the 1950s juxtaposed to the 1990s and 2000s, but also I had a very very abusive childhood, unfortunately, I didn't respond by leaving him. I kind of thought to myself, oh goodness, how can I be better? How can I please him even more? Because that is my duty as a woman. And so that's essentially where all of this was coming from. And I will go into this in a bit more detail, but this is just giving you a nice overview of topics to come.